so much for sticking with us on Breakfast Central. We now get straight into the part of the show that we call Business as Usual. And the conversation today is all about the impact of digitalization on marketing and advertising. So, those industries and their models have changed in modern times. The arrival of digital channels has meant that marketers have had to learn a whole new set of skills to contend with the shift from analog to digital. However, the impact of the digital revolution goes far deeper than just the creativity that gets most of the hype. So as we move to a customer-driven, personalized paradigm, data has become massively important. As we've seen, its impact on processes, the roles of marketers, and even the way we think about marketing has created an industry that employs synchronicity and deeper integration for strategies to be successful. So joining me to discuss the impact of digitalization on marketing is Sochi Azuh. Hello, good morning. How are you today?
Hi, Vima.
It's great to have you with us. And I want to delve into this conversation because I feel like it's a very regular conversation these days, but let's look at it from a different angle. First of all, digitization and digitalization seem to be used, interchangeably.
Yeah.
Are they the same thing?
No, they're not. So digitalization is actually the first process. It's really a process of transcribing materials into a digital form.
That's
materials or data, yes.
Okay.
Into digitalization into digital form.
Okay, so almost like data capturing.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that's part of the process. So digitalization is different in that it's the use of that digital material, the output of the digitization, into processes or systems that can be used for whatever purpose. In this case, in driving marketing or sales.
Okay, so currently, what phase are we at in Nigeria at the moment? Which of those processes is more, shall I say, is happening more rampantly?
I would say across board, you still have, in different instances, all of them. So there's another step from digitalization, which is actually digital transformation.
Okay.
That's different in that it's the next step from just creating the process or using the digital outputs for those processes to effectively drive whatever goals the business might be pursuing. The key word here is effectively, because then you would not be transforming your business if you aren't.
If you aren't, okay, I understand. But looking at digitalization, excuse me, it's a mouthful. What role exactly does it play in marketing and advertising today? We all hear about the use of data, the use of information, the use of this. It's all out there. But the crux of it, what is the actual role of digitalization as you've defined it?
Okay, so it's easy for digitalization to sound, it's also a mouthful, but it's also quite easily goes over the common man's head. But let's break it down to the simplest form. We have our first touch point, which is on social media, and that's the go-to for every startup. So they go there to start their social media marketing, Instagram, Facebook advertising, or even LinkedIn. So that's a good way to start, and it's usually your go-to strategy. So that, if I need to amplify that platform or the use of digitalization on that platform, we talk about use of CRMs, we talk about use of other forms of business intelligence, but its main purpose is actually to scale the impact of your marketing and advertising. And to speak also further into its role, it also helps you niche down to exactly the people that you need to you're directing your marketing message to or communicating with. So you're it quite makes it easier for you to say, this is the person I'm speaking with. I want to speak to this particular person, deliver my message to this person, and then get the returns from that investment.
And although this is all the buzz, I mean, how much reach you know, of, let's just say a FMCG, of your overall target market of consumers, what percentage are you really reaching off of digital channels? Because, you know, there is an argument that this is often being played up in the era where we live in, because, you know, there's so much focus on social media and, you know, digital advertising, but then you look at the internet penetration and the percentage of the population that's even online, that have, you know, access to Android phones, or, you know, so what's the balance looking like, and how critical really is it for a business to have to transform in that way?
Okay,
in our context here,
the jury is still out. Like you quite right, you rightly mentioned, you know, it's sometimes being played up, and one of the challenges that marketers or advertising executives have is to prove to business partners or the business owners the exact impact of their investments into those platforms for digitalization. But I would say that, you know, coming from, you know, looking at where we're coming from, the reach is quite high, or higher now. So just imagine how far. So for instance, you know, sometimes you talk to a client and you're telling him or her, if you invest 1,000 naira in the use of an influencer who pulls his weight or her weight on Instagram, you're looking at most likely tens of thousands of views or impressions. And then you compare that with, I don't think even radios or television can't boast as much of, you know, as much numbers as as you can actually record, you know, in the use of an influencer. This is only maybe in a week. Before a television station can boast of the numbers that an influencer can record for you in a month, it will take months before the television can do that. So, you know, the sky is the limit, but, you know, and the numbers, they speak to more or less a quantum or exponential return on investments on those platforms. So yet the numbers are out because, you know, we still have issues of not being able to attribute sales, not being able to attribute the successes to the work that you actually put in on those platforms.
That's the exact next point I was going to go to, is that there's the conversation about return on investment, whether this market, you know, understands the conversion of it. It's one thing for us to all know that, you know, Vimbai Cola has just released a new flavor. And to, you know, Vimbai Cola goes, you know, does the whole shebang of a, you know, PR rollout, marketing rollout online. But what is it that makes people buy stuff in this market? Are people really being influenced by, you know, what they're seeing on with regards to digital content? Yes,
they are.
Okay.
It's purely psychological. So, you know, a marketer or anyone, a logical being would tell you, you know, you go in for the features, but you're an emotional being. You're an emotional being. So I like Vimbai. I like her vibe. I like her lifestyle. Anything she approves, I would definitely. I'm sold. Just, you know, show me where to pay the money and I'll, you know, jump. But the problem we have is really in understanding how that works, especially in convincing people that this is really the way it works. This is the way the mind works. This is the way people behave, or consumers behave. They are not purely logical. Before I buy something, I'm going to call a friend and ask, have you bought this before? What's your experience been like? And then my friend, depending on how, what's out of the bed, the person might have woken up on, you know, when the person used that, his or her decision, or, you know, the verdict or testimonial that the person will be given could easily be swayed. But, you know, I would still take the word of my friend over the word of some instruction or, you know, details on the body of your product. So it's not logical, it's emotional. You need to understand that first. And then, you know, when it becomes emotional, it becomes something that can be easily manipulated. And, you know, it's a level playing field for everyone from there on. I do anything I do anything I can to make sure I influence your emotions and then your buying decision.
Okay.
And if that includes using your friend or someone, an icon that you trust, I would do that. If that means using colors that inspire or elicit certain emotions in you, I'll do that. And the people who understand this are usually the marketers or advertisers, and then they put out those churn out content, they churn out messages that that achieve these goals. They know this, and they try to deliver the results, and it's usually quantitative. So that's one of the benefits of digitalization. You can actually report quantitatively on the results of your campaigns.
All right, having said that, I also, I want to get into traditional marketing, but before we get to that, I want to just spend a little bit more time looking at, you spoke about colors and emotions, and there's a lot that's done to ensure that a certain message is passed. However, often we see certain things trending. I'm just talking about the Nigerian market. Yeah. Certain things trending. So, for example, let's talk about boutique owners, because this is something that a lot of us have encountered, and we always talk about it. That you found that boutique owners are always dancing in their videos, or there's things that are peculiar to the Nigerian market that you see, and you wonder, okay, at the end of the day, does all of this research matters if ultimately what people want to do is see a male comedian dressed as a woman doing some sort of prank online, see these platforms that do vox pops and ask people to make questions that will make them make mistakes or give silly answers, all those concepts that seem very sort of very at the top of the surface, compared to the research you're talking about emotions and color and so forth. So are companies really investing in the research, or are they just going and seeing that this is Brother Shaggy, he has numbers, why do we need to now spend the money on developing a color that will make somebody feel like they should buy into, because like you said, the digital platform now has these instant numbers.
Yes. Okay, so
sorry to take you there. I've always wanted to know.
So I won't say I'll be choosing my words, because it is,
because it's also your job.
Yes, it is. So I don't want to get fired. So I'll be very okay. So it is a challenge. When influencer marketing started, it posed a question to marketers: could it be trusted? There are some brands that would never use, some of these Instagram comedians, for example. They would never, and it's for a reason. The reason is, so human beings are, I would say fickle, but very delicate. So if I had Vimbai, play as my ambassador, brand ambassador, if anything happens to your image, it rubs off on mine. Of
course, yeah.
And it takes a while. So it doesn't have to be true. If something happens, if it's a bad thing, it doesn't have to be true for it to have an effect.
Of course, yeah.
It just has to happen. So that was a challenge in the initial, because they need to be careful. So it took a while for brands to really key into influencer marketing. But then they began to see how the numbers were coming in, and then they began to wonder, there might be something here. Now, in an advanced stage of managing influencers, what you should have is have a matrix, have a framework that enables you to match appropriately, correctly the influencer's personality, the influencer's audience with your brand's personality. If there's a match, then you go a long way. If there's a mismatch, then it sends the wrong message and rubs off negatively on your brand. Recently, your brands have also seen the benefits of using the likes of maybe Steve Chooks or
so all the people doing skits and so forth,
because they bring laughter, and laughter is very powerful. I don't know. I'm sure you know in South America, comedians were seen as threats to governments because they actually put crowds. They conveyed strong messages in an appealing manner. People listened to these people, so they could easily spread agenda that were maybe cancerous to government.
To the government.
In the same way.
Okay.
Influencers like Brashagi and through the use of their skits can deliver messages to people and they would buy them.
And they would buy into it. Right. We unfortunately need to round up, but very quickly before we go, we literally have 30 seconds. What is the future of traditional marketing? Is it grim? Is it, okay, just okay? Or, is it still going to pick up? What is your prediction in just 30 seconds?
It's dwindling. But it's still strong.
Okay.
It's still strong because there's still a large market out there that still panders to messages on traditional.
Because billboard space is still selling at a premium.
Exactly.
All right, wonderful. Okay, so we shouldn't put all our eggs in the influencer basket. Traditional marketing, according to your analysis, is still going to be a premium place.
Yes.
Wonderful. This has been an incredible conversation. Sochi, thank you so much.
To watch more videos just like this, make sure you subscribe right here. And of course, check out more videos right here.